Hello everybody, BL Carter here. I hope you are doing well and working on the pieces to your puzzle. As many of you remember, I've called several times for us to begin our healing processes, to begin reaching out to people that we have estranged relationships with, be it your mother, your father, brother, sister, husband, wife, ex-husband or wife, ex-boyfriend, your daughter, co-worker, cousin, whomever. But just to reach out and try to resolve those relationships, whether you're reinstituting the relationship or not necessarily a big concern, but just to resolve the negative energy that's still pent up as a result of those relationships, and especially if they ended on a bad note or they severed on a bad note. And I just wanted to highlight, I've gotten several reports, if you will, of healings that are happening. And I just wanted to highlight a few of them here. And this is something I'll be doing going forward periodically, just highlighting some of the healings that are going on, some of the relationships that are being healed and repaired. Because in order for us to get to our higher selves, our better selves, we've got to release a lot of the negativity, a lot of the negative energy that's pent up in us. And oftentimes we're not going to be able to properly release that until the issues are resolved, the issues associated with that energy. And so that's why I encourage us to reach out to each other. If you've got a sister that you don't talk to, reach out to her. She may not be receptive the first time, but after a few calls of just, hi, how you doing, love you, miss you, bye. Or a text that says, hi, hugs and kisses, miss you, bye. Over time, that'll soften up her side. And eventually you guys can have conversation, have dialogue, say the things that you need to say, so that the energy that both of you are tying up in your feelings with each other, you can now use in a positive way to build yourself individually. And again, I stress, this is not necessarily to say that you have to reestablish ongoing relationships with these people. But you do need to do whatever it takes to resolve that negative energy that's pent up. And I think the best way to do it is to have dialogue with those persons. Ask the questions you need to ask. When you get to that point, you ask the questions you need to ask. People say what they need to say, and you can move on. So just to give you a couple examples, I have one person who reached out to me just to let me know that they had been in touch with their dad. Now, this person is now grown with children of their own, and they did not have the relationship with their dad. Apparently there were some issues between the mom and dad, and the dad was painted as a very terrible person to the child all growing up, and the child didn't have a relationship with dad. As it turned out, dad, his work took him away from home, and during the process of everything going on and not wanting to upset the child, the dad just stayed away. And now that the child is older, they're trying to reconnect. And so she shared with me that she was in communication with one of her biological brothers through her dad. And in the process, she was able to make contact with her dad. And she shared when they finally began to talk. Initially, it was just a hi and goodbye type of conversation, but then they finally had a real in-depth conversation. And by then, both of them were open to the conversation. They were both ready for the conversation. And they were able to talk, and the dad shared a lot of things. And she says to me, it put together a whole lot of pieces, things that I can backtrack on and think about as I was growing up, and I wondered about. But in listening to my dad tell the story from his perspective, everything made a whole lot of sense to her. And so she was able to release, if you will, the negative energy she had pent up. Now, though she continued on with life, she still had that energy there, and she acknowledged it. And she acknowledged a release. And listeners, I can't tell you what it feels like. It's just an overwhelming sense of healing that comes once those conversations are held and that energy can be released. Once the daughter was able to get the answers to some of her questions. Once the dad was able to talk with the daughter. And they're able to go forward. Now, whether they'll have a great relationship going forward, I can't say. I know it sounds to me like both of them are wanting that in the long run. And they've got a ways to get there. But just the mere fact that, as she said, her dad. And that's something, as a female, I can say. All little girls want to be able to say, my daddy this or my daddy that. We all want to be able to have some sort of conflict going on in the world and be able to say, my daddy's going to get you. My daddy going to take care of this. And so as a girl growing up, she didn't have that option. And now, as an adult woman, she has that option. So it's just it's hard to explain if you've not had if you've had both parents around you all your life. But it was very refreshing, very rewarding, very I was ecstatic when she called, and I was crying with her on my end of the phone. Another situation, we have two sisters who apparently had been estranged. There was some conflict, and they stopped speaking. And apparently they were so very close to where they kind of knew each other. They knew the other one, how they thought, how they dressed, how they operated totally. And they were pretty much best friends. And the conflict that arose broke up that friendship. And so the one sister was sharing with me, she said, I can't tell you how it feels to feel like I'm getting my sister back. She had lost her best friend and her sister in their squabble. And so again, can't say that that's that they'll ever be best friends or the best sisters going forward. Of course, that's what we would love to happen. But just the mere fact that they were able to reach out to each other and just say hi, nothing big, nothing major, just starting very small. And that the purpose of that is to ease some of that negative energy, to get an opening, if you will, in that heart to be receptive to the other person. And so she said, she'd done that a couple times, and her sister wasn't necessarily receptive. And finally one day the sister was. And so they talked a little bit, and then she says, she intends to continue with it, and hopefully she can get her sister back. But that's just another example of us being willing to reach out. If you continue to reach out and just send that positive, loving, healing energy, when the time is right, the detailed conversations will be held. The necessary things to discuss will be discussed. All the unnecessary stuff probably won't even come up, because both of you will be at a point of healing and reconciliation, if that's possible. And so you won't necessarily be trying to be right or prove who was wrong or get revenge on the other one for what was done, because you're coming from a different place. And lastly, I just wanted to mention a couple that was formerly engaged. Now, he reached out to me and he shared that he was engaged with this young lady, and they'd even moved in together. But someone, I think it was her cousin, somebody in her family did not want them together. I guess there were more people in her family who didn't want them together. And so, but someone in her family reached out to him and started getting in his ear. And so he started kind of acting a little funny, but he said, bottom line, when the cousin told him that she was cheating on him, he just assumed it was true, because the cousin had kind of built a little rapport with him and stuff, and so he assumed that it was true. And he argued with her. He said they argued, and he upped and walked away from the relationship. And he'd always held that she cheated on him, and that's why he walked away. So she shares with me that he later found out it wasn't true, that the cousin was lying, and that she was probably the best thing that could have happened to him, but he in essence threw it away because he listened to a lie from someone. And I could hear the regret in him. And he was truly apologetic. He was truly remorseful. And oftentimes that's the way it happens. We listen to outsiders and we make decisions based on what those outsiders told us. And then we found out it wasn't true. And, we're left with the consequences of the decision we made based on inaccurate information. But this guy, it struck me because I get more communication from women than I do from males in regards to these types of things. But this guy, he said bottom line, he was wrong. He listened to someone that he shouldn't have listened to. And then he also said he never gave her an opportunity to explain or to defend herself. He just immediately assumed it was true. He sat down and put pieces of things together and put it together looking for a cheating situation instead of looking for whatever the truth was. So he went in looking for a cheat, and that's what he was able to create in his mind. And so he like I said, he reached out to her and he told her. And I think we're a good 20 years past or whatever. It's been a while. He said it was like in his younger days. And he said he shared with her that, he was wrong. He apologized. And, they don't intend to be friends or anything, but he just wanted to get that off his chest. That, he pledged to be hers. They were engaged. And he walked away for what turned out to be a lie. So, and I believe, if I remember correctly, he said he could sense that she felt relieved that he finally acknowledged that to her. So I say all this to say, these are living, breathing examples of the healing that can happen if we just take the first step. Send the healing energy. Send the positive energy. And then reach out. Make a call. Send a text. Send a postcard. Send an airmail. I don't know, a hot air balloon. Whatever it is you need to send. Just so that the other party can start getting some of that healing energy in them. And over time, of those little small gestures, you will eventually get to a point where both of you can communicate with each other. And the healing can begin. And like I said, when the time is appropriate, when both of you are receptive to having the discussions, you'll have the discussions. And at that point, only what needs to be said would be said. All the unnecessary stuff about who's right, who's wrong, who did this, you did that, you looked at me the wrong way, you kissed him, you touched her, you stole the money, whatever it is, all of that won't even be an issue. It'll be about healing. And so I just want to encourage you all to continue to do that. Continue to send out the energy. We all have people that we've parted ways with in a less than favorable manner. And so we carry some of that energy with us. And I encourage us to, as many of those people as we can, reach out. Try to grab that energy back and turn it into a positive. You definitely don't want to be at a point where you're continuing to have all of your energy tied up in a negative aspect and you don't have enough positive energy to do anything positive, meaningful, or substantial. So, that being the case, this is our healing happenings for this week. And as I said, just watch the channel, like and subscribe, share if you want. Or you don't have to like it, or you don't have to subscribe. It's up to you. It would be great if you did. But I intend to continue to share some of these healings going forward. So, until the next time, y'all take care and continue to work on your puzzle one piece at a time. Remember, reach out to someone, add another piece into your puzzle. Bye. healing an unresolved relationship. Take care.